JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding Wednesday, February 4th, 9/16 on this fine morning. Talk quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P futures actually, I would call it flat, have been chopping around slightly red, slightly green on the heels of yesterday's sell-off. It was funny. Markets were in the green at the open, hit highs about 945, 950. Thought, okay, maybe we have a decent session. And then it's like someone hit a switch and boom, we just started melting. And now you see the headlines. It's funny, it's like reactionary headlines as opposed to proactive, right? And I mean, I've been talking about Adobe, and it's like unless you've been on some other planet, there's going to be repercussions for AI or consequences or uh, however you want to word it. But there's going to be things that crop up that are going to be replace things, disrupt things, whatever you want to call it. So the big headlines that people see on the news is jobs, right? AI is gonna replace what would normally be jobs, and same with the robotic sides of things, right? Medial jobs, things like that. But now you're like, okay, what else can AI do? And I think everyone might have an AI moment, right? Where you use one of these platforms, ChatGPT, Anthropic, Perplexity, or whatever, and then you type in something or you ask a prompt and it does something and you're like, oh my gosh. And I don't, I'm not saying I had moments of that, but I remember like Python, some of these coding software, coding that you do, and you go to school for a long time to learn all these different programming languages and things. And it's like you can just ask ChatGPT or one of these to do it, and it comes out with this what would take hours of typing, right? It's not even some of it's not even the education part of it. It's the amount of stuff they can create. And I, so I'm not going to go on a big rant in regards to that, but it's funny. It's like this stuff is coming. It's like, when is the market going to react? And it seems like the last week or two, and finally, it's like the market had its aha moment and said, okay, we're going to sell off software names. And there's been releases and updates on some of these different platforms, like the Claude, I guess, is the big one that's wowing people. I mean, you've got to be on a different planet if you didn't know that some of these platforms can do some of the things in the past. Right now, you have tax. Right, I mean, maybe you can get AI to go through financials of companies and come up with ways to cut expenses. And there's all these different things. But Intuit used to do that or does do that, right? The legal side of things, right? I mean, all those how many thousands of papers you see on these filings for companies. How long does it take some CFO to create a 10Q and 10K? And a lot of it's copy and paste, but geez. So it's just eye opening the amount of things that it can disrupt. And it's like, okay, market's reacting. So yesterday, 300 billion plus, whatever, cut off the top on the software ETF or names in the software ETF, Intuit, ServiceNow, Salesforce.com, all those different names. And then it started to finally roll a little bit into the other markets. Because, I always talk about something breaking. When we saw the gold and silver last week, you're like, okay, something's going to break at some point. And, it seems like software is the one, ironically enough, that seems to be breaking a little bit the market. Well, we'll see if things find some footing. You don't have to, I think we'll be somewhat okay, right? A revaluing of some names coming out of software into AI or some of the names that might benefit from the CapEx spend, which has been on a tear already. If not, then you have to start worrying about repositioning portfolios, people having to sell other positions to cover leverage. And so those are the things you don't want to see. And that will probably happen if we continue to descend. So hope that's not the case. Market finds some footing. We can move on to the next possible headwind. If not, then maybe this is the moment that we got to start looking at, okay, what other names are going to sell off? Some of these names have been destroyed. So for me, I look at Intuit and I'm like, can you play that for downs? How much more downside does Intuit have after getting absolutely pummeled over the last couple of weeks? I remember last year, maybe it was December of 2024, I was talking about getting puts on Intuit on the tax side of things, right? But that was more because of the new administration's tax policies or reform in regards to doing taxes, right? I mean, how crazy is it the hurdles you have to go over just to get taxes filed, right? It makes no sense. Something's got to get at some point. It's got to get disrupted. Maybe it's AI that's going to disrupt it. But anyway, I mean, $675 stock to start the year. It's at $425. Does it go to 200? Right? I mean, these are things. You take a look at a name like Salesforce, which is kind of been like a stalwart of software. $270 to start the year. It's down to 195. At some point, these bounce. It's just trying to catch a falling knife sometimes be very painful. So I'm not going to sit here and try and time the bottom of some of these software names. I look at names that I think have been thrown in with the basket, right? Drowning with the baby in the bathwater, whatever that saying goes. Sorry, I'm rambling here, but Shopify is one of those names. I think it's a name that, I mean, AI is going to obviously disrupt it, but I mean, it has a great ecosystem and platform for businesses to use already. So I don't know that some other widget or whatever that someone creates can take over what Shopify does. So I look at it as an opportunity. So that might be a name I look at in regards to playing for bounces. But anyway, that's overall markets. Take a look at the SPY. 693 would be a big spot on the upside. 686. Yesterday, I'm trying to look for put hedges, and it's like the names I would normally get the put hedges were holding up well, and I'm not going to get puts just because, right? I mean, unless I think we're going to go substantially lower. But I look at my watch list, and the irony of yesterday is there's Walmart, $1 trillion valuation for the first time ever. So in it's like the market always goes in cycles, and a cycle of brick and mortar getting destroyed because of Amazon. It took a while for people to come to the realization that Amazon's gonna destroy malls and brick and mortar names. And then once it did, then finally it took a while, and also the market reacted, right? So it's similar with the software side. It's like it's timing. Every market's always about timing. Never wrong, just early. But yesterday, Walmart hits that $1 trillion market cap, and this is meanwhile the irony is that software all of a sudden is going to get disrupted, right? It's funny how that cycle works. But to me, the big saying would be, innovate, adapt, or die. And Walmart has innovated. They've taken on, instead of going against Amazon's free shipping and price matching and all those policies that they used to say, oh, no, we're the biggest company. Screw you. We're not price matching. They embraced all that. They came up with all the technology stuff. They have their Amazon Plus and, Amazon Prime and all those different things that levers they were able to pull. Walmart Plus, getting into that they were able to pull that. Boom, they're a behemoth still and bigger than ever before. So, in a nutshell, we'll see what names survive this software. DocuSign, right? So all these other names. All right, so that's overall market. 686 on the way down. If we break 686, then I'll start looking for some sympathy names that might just pull with the rest of the market, and those will be names that not related to the software sell-off that'll just get pulled just because people have to reposition their portfolios. A possible liquidation event, right? Margin calls, things like that. All right, that's overall market. Just individual names. I don't know if I had issues with audio yesterday morning. I had technical issues in the morning. Apologies for that. Otherwise, I would have been talking about SolarEdge. I mean, I always talk about SolarEdge, but I was Enphase reported earnings after the close yesterday, so I thought maybe it'd be a good opportunity to finally, it might be the spark to send it higher. I was watching yesterday, and of course, the market weakness had me pause trying to get some calls. Hindsight, I should have got the calls, right? So it's up 10% plus in the pre-market. Enphase up 20-some%. A beat and raise for Enphase, which is out of the ordinary for them. And it's a high short name, 20% short interest. That one can keep going. You look at SolarEdge reports earnings February 18th. I might look for some strikes today. I don't want to chase. I hate the premium's going to explode at the open, but I might look for some whatever word you want to use, calls. Maybe it gets to $50 after its earnings. And it was all the way up near there after its last earnings back in November. So that's SolarEdge. Don't be surprised I had some calls there. Finally, yesterday afternoon, I got some Serve Robotics calls. I mean, nothing new there. I posted my little chart here update so you can kind of understand the different rallies it's had since last year. And they've been epic rallies, right? From 10 to 17, 10 to 18. I think in the midst, at some point, there's going to be another one of those 10 to 17 rallies. And one of those rallies, well, it won't be 10 to 17. It'll be 10 to 25. So inexpensive February strikes again. I tried to trade them last week for some profits. I'll try again this week. If there's follow through, I'll continue to hold. Locks them in on the way up. So that's Serve. GameStop, frustrating, right? Nothing changed between yesterday and Monday. It's just that people decided not to buy GameStop, right? Stock sold off 5%, thankfully. And that's why everything looked great on Monday, right? The market reverse looked like, hey, maybe we could have a red day. Instead, it was a strong rally. And GameStop looked like it was off to the races. $28 was coming. And in the midst of that, you can say, okay, I'm going to hold for 28, but you have to kind of always step back because then you have days like yesterday where you're like, gosh, I wish I locked some in. So thankfully, I locked a lot of those February strikes in, first to cover costs, then for 100% for some profits. So just have a couple of Februaries. In hindsight, should I have got the March strikes? But the reason I got the March strikes is because I locked some more of the Februaries in. So that's the rationalization there. If I do get some more GameStop calls, I'll be patient. There'll be lower strikes, probably same March expiration. Story hasn't changed there. And it's funny, I was saying yesterday on the rant, Bitcoin could sell off 5% and GameStop will sell off 5%. But if Bitcoin rallies 5%, GameStop doesn't go up. Just funny how that works. All right, we got a couple of minutes to the open, so I'm going to get off audio in a second. I still like Zoom here. Green day today. You can make the case as a bull flag setting up. Going to be patient there. Still have the February strikes. That story hasn't changed. And the thing with Zoom, I mean, you can, with all the names selling off in software, it was down 4% yesterday. But I think if it didn't have the strong fundamentals it has in that story in regards to its stake, in Anthropic, I think it would be down substantially larger. So because of all that backdrop, and not only in the face of what's going on with software, it'll only be down 4%. I think that's a good sign. But of course, I'm looking at through someone who has calls on Zoom, right? So I have bullish bias goggles I'm wearing. And last but not least, Shopify, right? So 116 here. That's a name. Like if I'm looking for some spec lottos, I have to kind of like wrap my head a little bit more. Maybe I have this wrong, but I'm like, I get some of the AI spin that it can disrupt some of these names, but Shopify, it's like I get the Wix.com, right? Wix.com a little different. You're just looking for a simple website solution. This Shopify, it's intertwined in your small business, right? I mean, you already got everything set up with the payments, the shipping, the back end, the inventory, all those different things that are involved in a business. So anyway, let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Hopefully, rock and roll.